Greetings and welcome into the Rant, everybody. Caden McFarland here, Jacob Toby over there, and we've got a special guest tonight, my guy Tyler Jones. I'm trying to remember when the first time I would have seen you might have been. You were a Broken Arrow high school student. You might have been like a freshman or sophomore. You were young and already honing your craft. Has just finished up at the University of Kansas, correct?
Yes.
And works for the Fox Sports radio station in Lawrence. You cover everything KU and the Chiefs and everything else. You've done a great job. Thanks so much for coming in here for Christmas.
I got big shoes to fill for Bill Haston out tonight, so I'll do the best I can.
Yes. Bill's got family in town, and we said, go enjoy Christmas. Because we got Tyler Jones here to chop it up with. So looking forward to it, man. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here. A lot to talk about. Glad to be home for the holidays. Hope everybody has a great Christmas and holiday season the next couple days. And I mean, this is such a fantastic time of the year. I mean, we've got a fantastic Chiefs game going on right now. Glad to see my guys up 17-0.
You guys got that under control,
That's taken care of. And, of course, got the college football playoffs starting here this week. And just so many good things. A lot to enjoy for sure.
I was going to say, Tyler, plug what show you're on out there in Lawrence. What do you got going on out there?
So I do a morning show up there, Monday through Friday from 6 to 8, and then Saturdays from 7 to 10, and been doing that show for about a year and a half now, and so just enjoy doing that, and it's been fantastic.
How long have you done your podcast?
Been doing my podcast now, it'll be been about 7.5 years now.
I was going to say like a third of your life you've been podcasting, man. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
That's
All
awesome.
right, let's get going. Let's rant.
Let's rant. Let's do it. So, of course, the reports coming out this past week that 3 Sooners were suspended for drug use, reportedly for marijuana. You got Trejan Bridges, Ramondre Stevenson, Ronnie Perkins. Then Delarian Turner-Yell goes down with a broken collarbone. He's going to miss the Peach Bowl. So I ask you guys, Tyler, I'll start with you. Can the Sooners overcome the suspensions and Turner-Yell's injury in this game versus LSU?
I think it's ultimately going to be too much for the Sooner team to deal with. I mean, they're a talented football team. Jalen Hurts has been incredible this year, the 50 touchdowns he's had, and just leading this Oklahoma team. The defense has been greatly improved on that side of the ball with Alex Grinch taking over as their defensive coordinator. Kenneth Murray's had a big year, but they already were overmatched against this LSU team as is, and now you say that they're going to be shorthanded even more so. I think it's going to be too much for this team to deal with, and LSU ultimately is going to take care of business. I think they can hang in there and make it closer than what the experts think, but LSU is just too good of a team for this OU team to deal with.
You know, as I began to look at the numbers in this matchup, I don't know if there's a team in the country who statistically looks more like OU than LSU when it comes to points scored and points allowed and yards allowed, and then even when you get down to the metrics that are more advanced, you know, points per play and yards per play and all that sort of thing. They're really, really close. But LSU's played some of the best and put up those numbers. So without a doubt, they deserve to be the favorite in this game. I really thought OU was going to be able to give them all they could handle. And, gosh, it just feels like this is a snowball going downhill now. And it's hard for me to even pick which of those guys might be the biggest loss. Turner-Yell in the back end, I mean, they have been so thin at safety all year long, and that is such an important position against Joe Burrow in this LSU offense. That's a huge loss. But if you're going to have any chance against LSU, you got to get a pass rush. And Ronnie Perkins is not just the best they've got coming off the edge, he's really the best by far.
No question.
And look, they were leaning on Ramondre Stevenson towards the end of the year, especially in that Big 12 championship game. Kennedy Brooks was unable to finish it. He should be healthy and okay to go, but you don't want to go into a matchup like this with really only one running back. I guess Jalen Hurts is kind of another running back for you, but you need a backup running back as well. I mean, all of those guys, everybody but Bridges is really a key loss. The news this week, it's going to take, I don't want to say a miracle, but the kind of just incredible play over your head effort that we rarely see in college football, especially in the biggest games, for OU to beat LSU. Can they hang in there and make it close, hold on to the ball for a long time, win the time of possession and take an early lead and make this a 4-quarter game? Yeah, all those things can happen, but, man, you wouldn't bet on it at this point.
Yeah, it just seems too much for this team to deal with. LSU is so stacked offensively. The way that Joe Burrow has been efficiently throwing the football all season long, Joe Brady's offense has been so good, not just about Joe Burrow, but the way they've run the football as well. What do you focus on at this point? You say you look at the secondary and see that you're going to be short there. Ronnie Perkins on the defensive line. So when you're looking for an area of strength, where is it? I guess it's Kenneth Murray at that point, but one guy can't carry that entire defense going up against that entire bunch of LSU offensively.
Yeah, several players on OU's defense are going to have to play the best they've played all year, maybe in their entire lives, just to keep them in it. Now, LSU's running back dealing with a hamstring injury. It happened in practice this week, and that would be a big loss for those guys because there's a pretty big dip between him and number 2 there. But it's still a much greater loss for the Sooners. And I guess if I had to rank them, you'd go Perkins, Turner, Yell, and then Stevenson. I don't know, Stevenson, Turner, that's close. They are so thin at safety. But either way, just debilitating. Here's the thing. Everybody was counting them out before. People will only be counting them out that much more. And this week, as ESPN and people nationally begin to talk about this matchup, nobody's going to give OU a shot. I think that does help. Is it enough to get you a win? I don't know, but I do like that in OU's favor, the fact that everybody's going to be counting them out this week.
I don't know how much you guys follow the betting lines, but I follow them very closely. I was shocked that
Got
this
a problem,
line.
Tyler?
Yes, please. Please give me help.
1-800 number?
Please, get on the phone right now. I was shocked this line didn't move that much.
It didn't. That's right.
Just a point.
Okay.
I thought for sure it was going to be at least 1.5 or 2.
That's interesting.
That to me was something that
interesting.
Vegas says that maybe it's not as big of a deal as we think.
Yeah. I thought the line was a little too big to begin with, but neither here nor there at this point.
No, for sure. Tyler, can I ask a score prediction from you? You're a sports radio guy. You guys do it all the time, right? Come on now.
Well, let me preface this by saying that, I'm not paid to be right. I'm paid to be entertaining.
Exactly.
And you're doing that right now.
I say that all the time.
I'm entertained.
We'll do what we can to make the most entertaining prediction, not necessarily the most accurate. But I think that this is going to be a high-scoring game. I know that OU would like to slow it down with Jalen Hurts and company to play more of that style, but I just don't see it working out this way. I think that this is going to be a more up-tempo game than OU would like to be. LSU, ultimately too much. I think OU may hang around early and surprise some people, but I like LSU to win this game somewhere in the range of like 45-35, something like that. Maybe you get a field goal in there from OU. Maybe it's 48-38, but somewhere along those I don't think OU gets embarrassed, but I think they hang in there, but ultimately LSU is going to be too much.
I'm right there with you. I think I settled on 41-27 a couple days ago. I reserve the right to maybe change that, as we get to Atlanta and maybe some things happen, but somewhere right along there where I think OU has some success early and they make this thing a game into the second half, but they just don't. They're not able to score with the ease that LSU is. And,
I got a question for you guys.
Catches up to them eventually.
When you look at this college football playoff in OU circumstance, if you lose this game, then you fall to 0-4 in the college football playoff. Obviously, that would not be ideal. But with human nature being in mind for future selection committees, don't you have to think that for OU, one of the goals is don't get embarrassed whatsoever for that future outcast to, in this case, you're the number 4 seed. Obviously, you're an underdog. But really, if you go out there and just get beat down, that is going to leave a stain that's going to be there for quite some time.
Yeah. I don't think that factors in for Lincoln Riley. I think he calls plays the way he calls plays and coaches the game the way he coaches the game, and he's trying to win a game. He's not concerned about that. For people like us who pay attention to these things, absolutely, I think that's a storyline. They got some street cred. Obviously, the way they played Georgia in the Rose Bowl a couple years ago, absolutely, probably should have won that game, certainly could have won that game. And even last year, even though it was over, O-V-E-R, over, it was 28-0 Alabama, and they could have scored anytime they wanted to. OU actually got quite a bit of credit for coming back and putting 34 on them and some of the plays Kyler Murray made and some of the plays CeeDee Lamb made. So, yeah, absolutely. Hanging in there matters with regard to your reputation nationally. Is it going to matter to Lincoln Riley this week? No, I don't think so at all.
Well, think about it.
But I think with regard to just the way people think of your program generally, it matters a little bit. I'll say this, though. As long as Alex Grinch and Lincoln Riley are together and they're recruiting at the level they're recruiting at, they're fine. Like, it's not really going to matter that you fall to 0-4 in the college football playoff. They'll have plenty of other chances down the line. And I think they'll probably have the personnel to be better equipped for it down the line.
I think there is that human element that you do have to think about it in the sense of, look at that K-State game, for example. If that would have carried on the way it did, what it looked like in the third quarter, like OU was about to get blown out.
Yeah.
If OU doesn't have that fourth quarter where they make it a 7-point game,
Sure.
we're not talking about OU in the college football playoff, or at least
Yeah,
that
if they get
conversation
blown out
would
the
be,
way Ohio State did against Purdue or
Right.
Iowa the last couple of years, I mean, that kept Ohio State out. Yeah, no, you're right. Every play matters. I mean, that's something that coaches say, and a lot of times we roll our eyes, but like, that's exactly right. The fact that OU even made it a game at Kansas State, as embarrassing as that was, it could have been worse. So,
Absolutely.
no, you're exactly right.
So, I mean, yes, it's not something Lincoln Riley thinks about, but I think it's something for us to keep in mind looking at this program long term. Yeah.
Don't get blowed out.
Don't get blown out. You can't. And you know what? Alan Jerkins. Do we know him? Someone commenting on Facebook?
heard of that guy.
Big Al commenting right now on Facebook. OU 37-34.
Whoa! Whoa!
That's his
like it.
prediction.
He's probably thinking back to, I'm assuming it was an Orange Bowl, when Arkansas, I think, was coached by Lou Holtz, and they were taking on OU, and Arkansas had a whole bunch of guys, I think, suspended.
Okay.
Maybe it was injuries, but I think suspended. They were really shorthanded, probably just as big an underdog, and they pulled the upset. We've seen that happen. It happens every blue moon, I suppose. I hope you're right, Al. Al's going to join us in Atlanta for our coverage.
Heck yeah, he is.
This college football playoff. All right.
Love you, Big Al. All right, let's go to the Oklahoma State Cowboys. They lose their associate head coach, Casey Dunn. He's going to go to UNLV to be their offensive coordinator. He'll still coach in this bowl game, though. Caden, I'll start with you. How big of a loss is this?
Well, it's pretty big, and this is less than a lateral move, man. Look, he got passed over last year for the offensive coordinator position at OSU. I wonder now, how many people in Cowboy Nation think that was a mistake, because this is a big, big loss. This guy coached Justin Blackman and James Washington, both Biletnikoff winners, and Tylan Wallace, and just continue to recruit the position at such a great level. I mean, guys like Dylan Stoner that almost nobody else recruited, he brings in, and they look great. I think Brennan Presley out of Bixby is going to fall right in line there. I mean, he had a great eye for talent and then a great ability to coach kids. The effort they gave, the way they blocked, I mean, that was kind of a hallmark of what his wide receivers were able to do. So it's a big loss, without a doubt. This Mike Gundy is going to have to reshape a little bit, because Casey Dunn was so important to that staff, assuming there are no other losses. He's going to have to make a great hire here to replace what you lose in Casey Dunn.
I'll say it is worth noting, though, that like the Raiders, UNLV is moving into a new stadium next year. And so you have to think that this UNLV program wants to make a statement themselves,
Obviously.
too. And so,
And Marcus Arroyo was such a great recruiter of kids. I think he's probably a great recruiter of coaches as well. 'Cause
Right.
This is a home run hire for him.
Right. So I don't know what UNLV's future is, but give them credit for being able to bring in a name like this. I think it does say something that they're trying something over there to make a statement when they get to this new Vegas stadium of some sorts. But for OSU, all the talent that Casey Dunn coached over the years, this guy was a rock star. And so those guys don't just walk in the door every single day. So it's not a given that you're just going to replace somebody of the same caliber that's all going to work out that way. So I'm very intrigued what happens here with Oklahoma State. Where do you go at this point to get that guy, that hallmark of your program, per se?
And the rumors, or maybe reports tonight, I believe, are that Mike Yursich is kind of the front runner for the offensive coordinator position at Texas. He spent this year at Ohio State. If he goes to Texas and gets that thing rolling, look, my advice to Mike Gundy and Sean Gleason and everybody in Stillwater, and get Spencer Sanders right and keep him healthy and have a huge year offensively. Because if you don't, and you've got Mike Yursich doing a big thing at Texas, and Casey Dunn just walked out the door to go to UNLV, it's just the sort of thing, like people who really know the program, the people who are on message boards and everything else, they know how great a job Casey Dunn has done, and they know how big a loss that is. Look, if he takes a head coaching position somewhere, okay. But when you pass him over for the offensive coordinator position one year and then he leaves for UNLV the next, that falls at the feet of the head coach. And so keep scoring points, keep doing big things on offense would be my advice. Or, it'll get ugly with regard to some of those most hardcore of fans and their feelings towards, Mike Gundy and the state of the program at the moment.
Is it alarming the rate that Oklahoma State's been losing some of these assistants? You had an offensive line coach, change over a couple times recently. Then, of course, Yursich as well. Now this move with Casey Dunn. I wonder where the money is to keep these assistants for jobs that you could argue they should be staying. Even in the case of Yursich, yes, Ohio State's a great place, but he kind of took a demotion of sorts, being passing game coordinator, not an OC. So
they pay well. They pay well. Could be better.
Yeah.
They pay well. Generally speaking, I would say that this is just the kind of turnover that happens for the most part. But losing Casey Dunn to UNLV, it's like you have to, always point out that second part. That's troubling to me, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And, Caden, you say they need to have a good year next year. That would be helpful if they had Chuba Hubbard come back for his senior year, right? He has announced that he'll play in the bowl game against Texas A&M. We don't know about his NFL future just quite yet. He says, hold on, we'll talk about that in a couple weeks. But how big is this that Hubbard has decided he will play in this bowl game?
Well, really, really big.
A surprise?
I think a 9th win over Texas A&M in this bowl game would be a fantastic thing for this program. Am I surprised he's playing in the bowl game? No, because he's not the surefire first-round pick that Leonard Fournette was when he sat out, or Christian McCaffrey or some, But, look, he's been the best running back in the country this year. He's knocking on the door of 2,000 yards. And why wouldn't that be part of the reason to play? Look, he's absolutely –
get the stats.
I assume he's going to the NFL because that's what running backs who have accomplished as much as he's accomplished do. And that would be my advice. Go to the NFL before your body takes more of a beating at the college level and you're not really getting paid for it. But having talked to this kid some, having heard what Mike Gundy has to say about him and just the way his teammates talk about him and interact with him, no, not surprising to me that he's playing in the bowl game. And I hope he has a big one. It's going to be tough against this Texas A&M team, but it would be great if this is his final game with that OSU on his helmet. He deserves to have a good one because he's been a whole lot of fun to watch this year.
People in the Big 12 know that Chuba is a superstar and a great running back, but I feel like people around the nation never picked up how
he finished too low in the Heisman.
Exactly, how good he really is. And so that, to me, maybe in this case, for a guy like Chuba, he's looking for that opportunity to show off on a national stage when all eyes are going to be focused. You got that bowl season where everybody is watching a different primetime bowl game every night, and maybe he's looking for that opportunity to really stand out and have his moment against Texas A&M where he could possibly elevate himself to attract some more eyeballs that weren't watching him otherwise. Per se. Maybe that's what he's looking for with this bowl game possibly playing in.
Spencer Sanders will play. Mike Gundy says both Spencer Sanders and Drew Brown will play. But it puts so much pressure on him in the final 2 games of the year against West Virginia and then OU to have to just carry the whole thing. Losing Tylan Wallace at midseason was huge, but at least you had Spencer Sanders as a real threat as a running quarterback to take some pressure off. Everybody knew that if OSU was running the ball, it was going to Chuba Hubbard in those final 2 games. This gives them a chance, but against a pretty stout Texas A&M defense. I would love to see him go out in style. I think that'd be really cool. Not just to hit 2,000 yards, but have a big, big game against Texas A&M.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. Really just show off to the country how good he really is. Because it's been spectacular to see what he's done all season long with Oklahoma State really carrying this team. If you take away Chuba Hubbard and from Oklahoma State, there would be some big issues with this group. So
that's true.
I like what he's done. He's been fun to watch this year. Would love to see him go out with a bowl win, bowl MVP, go over 2,000 yards, and he'll be a steal for somebody in the NFL draft. I look like a team. I covered the Chiefs with as much as I like Damian Williams and LaShawn McCoy and those guys. They really need a premier running back. Chuba Hubbard could walk in to the Kansas City Chiefs tomorrow and be their number 1 running back.
I agree.
For sure. And I think this gives Chuba maybe a second chance of sorts. He didn't have the Bedlam game that maybe he wanted to show off, right? So you can take that as a second chance. All right, boys, rapid fire questions, 20 seconds per answer, please. Keep it short. Especially Caden. Come on now.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with you. Paul George
whose
coming
name is on this show?
Not mine, that's for sure. Paul George coming back to Oklahoma City tonight playing the Thunder. The Thunder win, though. They upset the Clippers at the Peak tonight. Paul George didn't get a video tribute. Got a nice little ovation and intro from the PA guy there. Are you cool with just an ovation? The fans didn't boo. You cool with that, Caden?
Yes. I wouldn't have been too fired up if they had booed, to be honest.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same as Kevin Durant, right? I mean, it just wasn't. I mean, I know that Kevin Durant gave the franchise so much, but he left for the team that just beat them in the NBA playoffs and had just won 73 games. It was an incredibly weak move. He deserved to be booed. Not that I would have done it personally, but I get it. It's different with Paul George. Like, they were going nowhere fast. He did this franchise an incredible favor. He couldn't have picked a better spot for them with regard to what they were able to get back and the leverage they had because of Kawhi and Kawhi saying, I'm only coming if you have Paul George, that sort of thing. So, absolutely. He played well here for 2 years. It went as far as it could go. No video tribute. That's the right thing to do as well. He wasn't here long enough, didn't do enough. I thought that was great, and the fact that they won the game, how awesome is that? No, and I know that Kawhi and the rest and everything else, but there is no way when this season started and the Clippers put it on the Lakers on opening night that I thought the Thunder would be capable of beating the Clippers even once this season. To be over 500 and have a win over those guys, it's been a fun year, man. It's been fun so far.
It has. What was there to tribute? If you were going to put
way more than 20 seconds. Oh my gosh.
If you were going to put
I'm mad at you.
If you were going to put a video tribute together, there was no playoff victories. Post advancing to any
Facts.
series
Now,
by any means.
Facts.
If you put up the Lillard shot to end it, that would have been some impressive trolling.
Right. I mean, what was there?
In your eye, PG.
I don't know, a couple
It was fun. It was
couple
great
dunks.
It was
nice
great to have
dunks.
him in Oklahoma City, but I mean, there wasn't any
Teardrop game winner against Utah.
memorable moments. There wasn't
no.
anything that
What
just
you're
said,
saying-
wow.
Yeah.
So I get it. The ovation was proper. It was a short stay in Oklahoma City. It wasn't really that memorable, to be honest.
Thank you.
I like Paul George. It ended very nicely. OKC got something good out of it. So I think that kind of was just appropriate for the circumstance.
Oh, right.
David Flower on Facebook says, great job, Tyler.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Shout out.
Absolutely.
Shout out to David Flower. All right, second question. Caden, I was at TU's basketball game yesterday. Triple overtime loss to Colorado State, 111-104, the final. What do you make of the loss? How should TU fans feel about it? It was at the BOK Center. How should they feel about it?
Well, for those who showed up, I'm glad they got to see a thriller. Bill Haston wrote it's the best basketball game in the history of the BOK. As a guy who was there
11-year history.
For many a Tulsa Shock game. Yeah, no comment there. He's probably right. I mean, it was a heck of a game. You hate to see it end with a loss and guys fouling out, and that being the reason why. I think they needed to beat a 6 or 7 loss Colorado State team in their own hometown.
For sure. They've lost to Arkansas State, and now Colorado State picked dead last almost in their conferences. I was there, and Oklahoma State fans were there because their team was playing in the next game, and they got blown out by Minnesota, but those guys were cheering for TU. It was that big. So it was a fun time, I thought, for a little bit.
No?
No, I wasn't there. I went to the Thunder game Friday night.
Okay.
I didn't make it to the BOK yesterday, but I did choose a good game to go to, seeing the way the Thunder playing
did.
against the
There you
Suns.
go.
But-
All right, third question. How has Jason Garrett not been fired? How has he not been fired? The Eagles beat
Why
the
wasn't
Cowboys
he fired
today.
in the third quarter today, Tyler?
That's the million-dollar question. I think that we've asked this about every year for the last 6 years almost with Jason Garrett of why he still has a job. The main reason is it comes down to that he's Jerry Jones's puppet, that he does what Jerry tells him to do, except win football games. You didn't get that with Tom Landry. You didn't get that with Jimmy Johnson. You didn't get that with Barry Switzer. And that's what he does for Jerry Jones. And so it won't last long. I imagine Urban Meyer is going to get a phone call very soon.
Don't do that.
Probably Matt Rule, probably Lincoln Riley will all get their
Those make
phones
more
ringing.
sense.
But right now, it's still Jason Garrett's job for the moment.
Well, obviously it won't be for long. That thing has run its course. I've been a Jason Garrett backer, probably more than most people out there. But it's time to go now. And what a, I guess, kind of fitting end, right? Actually, the most fitting end would be a win next week and you go 8-8 and miss the playoffs again. You know, there was a stretch there where all he could do was go 8-8. The clapping's over. The clapping has finally. Only one more game of the clapping, and then Cowboy fans can. So you think he's going to dip into the college ranks? I don't know. I don't know.
If there's an
I'm not sure
NFL
that'd be
name,
wise.
if there's an NFL name, I would keep in mind Ron Rivera. I thought Ron Rivera should not have been fired from Carolina. I thought he did a very good
coach,
job there. And he would be the first name I would call of NFL coaches.
Yeah.
Now, whether Jerry wants to call him or not is a different story. I think that Ron Rivera is much aggressive personality, may not fit what Jerry wants, but that would be the first person I contact.
Generally, I don't like taking college guys straight from the college game with no, although Matt Rule does have experience. Lincoln Riley and Matt Rule would be the exception for me. I think those would be good hires. Who knows what interest they may or may not have.
So you think
in the
Urban would
Dallas
be a
Cowboys
bad
job.
hire?
I don't get that at all. That guy ran his quarterbacks into the ground in the college game. Like every single year, he was addicted to it. I don't think there's a pro quarterback anywhere who wants Urban Meyer to be his head coach. It was the guy, Cardell Jones, right? The one he won the national championship with in 2014, who said as much on social media a couple years ago. I can't remember exactly the context, but basically that dude will run you into the ground. I just don't see it. I know he could change, but and I know he had incredible success, but it was only ever at the college level. I don't see it. I don't see him as the next Jimmy Johnson. I know he's a smart guy and a great coach, but I don't see that working at the pro level.
Quick question for Tyler. Do the Chiefs still have enough to get back to the Super Bowl, or to a Super Bowl, I should say, real quick?
Yes, they do, and it's because their defense is greatly improved. Look what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
They're shutting out the
Good
Chicago
point.
Bears. Granted, the Bears don't have a great offense themselves, but the way that they improve with the changes that Brett Veach made as GM this past offseason, bringing in Tyrann Mathieu, Frank Clark, Manuel Ogbah was good till he got hurt. Alex Okafor, same thing. And then Spagnuolo is their defensive coordinator, making that changeover. He's done a great job. And the offense is electric, if not even better than they were a season ago. Adding in McCole Hardman and such. The Chiefs have all the pieces.
Darwin
And
Thompson
remember,
from Jinx. Darwin Thompson.
Yes, exactly. Remember, they beat the Ravens and the
They did.
Patriots this year.
They did. I think you guys should have a lot of confidence heading into the playoffs, Kansas City fans. The Patriots don't scare anybody at the moment.
Hey, watch it
really.
now. I'm a Patriots fan, by the way.
And as great as Baltimore has been in the regular season, and Lamar will be the MVP and deserves to be, I don't trust that arm in the playoffs until I've seen it. He's going to have to show it to me for me to believe that he can go to the Super Bowl and win. So
Time and time again, history has told us you have to lose one to win one. The Chiefs had that last year. They were an offsides away from playing in the Super Bowl. The Ravens, they didn't even win a playoff game last year. I feel like you almost have to go through that experience to see what it's like. And,
now their head coach has won one.
he has. And Andy Reid, his
Almost
track
nobody on
record's
that
not
team.
great in the postseason either. But
that's right.
I think Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, a road game in Baltimore.
I thought you were going to wear your Mahomes jersey.
I forgot it, actually. I did. I know. I just went with the colored shirt
All right,
today.
we'll let you get back to that Chiefs game. Still
Tyler,
17-0.
thanks for coming in, man.
Absolutely,
Glad
man.
to be in.
Well done.
Appreciate it.
Thanks
you,
for
sir.
having me.
Good seeing
Anytime.
you.
All right, well, when's the next time we talk to these guys, Caden? Next week?
It'll
We'll
be
in
next
Dallas?
week from
Or not
Atlanta.
Dallas. We'll be in Atlanta. So
From Atlanta.
fun times.
Talking about OU LSU. Look at that.
We're out of here. It's the Rant. See ya.
You want to try that again?
No, I don't have anything else to throw.